Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from the Park Studio. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. We've got all kinds of things to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Israel's proportional response to Iran. We're going to be talking about the union dock strike. We're going to be talking about the 165-page evidence drop by, holy crap. What did I just click? I don't know. By Jack Smith. We're going to be talking about, I'm fixing something right quick. On the fly. Gotta love these things where you fix on the fly. Maybe I'm not fixing anything on the fly. Okay, never mind. Maybe I'm not fixing anything by the fly. Maybe that's just how it's going to look. That's all right. I don't care. And we're also going to be talking about FEMA's absolutely amazing reaction to the hurricane. But before we get into that and I get, all kinds of ticked off about stuff, we're going to start here. Now, this is something that I talked about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, or one of the shows in between. I'm not 100% sure. But I've got like 3 different headlines we're going to touch base on. Okay? This headline from Newsmax, and let me go ahead and pull that up for y'all right now. Headline, pesky First Amendment gets in the way of left's agenda. Yeah, like I said, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We also have this headline from New York Post. John Kerry says First Amendment is the enemy as elites try to stamp out free speech. And then this headline from Just the News. Schiff demands social media companies censor election misinformation. Yeah, you see, this is, how do I want to word this? I'm glad I got off of that. That's awesome. When the left talks about censoring, when the left talks about misinformation, when the left talks about that kind of stuff, I want you to keep in mind something. They're not doing this for the good of the people. They're not doing this because they actually believe the Bravo Sierra that's coming out of their mouth. They're doing this because it protects them. All right. Think about during the, during COVID's, okay? There was so much information, getting thrown around left, right, and center. I mean, there's so much information. The flow of information was mind-boggling. It really was. Because you had the WHO coming out with this, that, and the other, with, their response, with the different things that they think people should do in order to keep themselves safe. And a lot of these things made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And, this is, ignoring the fact that a lot of these things that they wanted you to do, a lot of the restrictions they were putting in place made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It made it look like the whole entire thing was political. But that aside, you had the WHO on one hand going, oh, yeah, we don't even believe, man, that thing's got to be, hold on one second. Let me grab some music. Let me do a little bit of something just to try to help things out right here because this is annoying the crap out of me. All right, just I'll be right back. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. I had to shut the blinds right quick because that was just, that was annoying me. That really was. I apologize for that, but I'm back now. So again, a lot of information coming out. There was a lot of things that, it was just a flow of information. You had the WHO saying we're going to do this, and you had the research and everything else that was coming out like roughly the same time, and the weird thing was, and the thing that was more striking, it really popped out to me, was that you had, doctors, and you had the person whom, made the mRNA vaccine say that, oh no, it really shouldn't be used like this and all this other kind of stuff. And in order to promote their agenda, the left said, oh no, we got to get rid of dissenting voices. It's like, dude, this stuff is coming out from doctors. Just because it doesn't fit your narrative doesn't mean that it's not true. And the WHO is also even saying that, we're playing this by ear. We're doing the best we can. We don't know all the facts, and then they are getting rid of dissenting voices. So when the left is talking about misinformation, I want you to understand it's not exactly misinformation. It's malinformation. It's information that they don't want you to hear because it goes against the narrative of what they're trying to convince you of. Okay? And yes, the left absolutely wants to squash dissenting information. And there's a lot of reason behind that. And this is a time frame when we need to be really, really mindful about where we get our information from, making sure that the information that we are getting a hold of is the best information available out there. We really do. It's critical right now that we gravitate to sources we can trust, people we can trust, what have you, and there's several of them out there. A lot of podcasters, a lot of people on satellite radio, a lot of people that you may know that I don't, that yes, are a beacon of truth in a very, very dark time, and it really is, it really is. So let's go ahead and get into some other stuff. So y'all know how I like to start off the program. I like to put a little satire into it. I love the Babylon Bee because the Babylon Bee is great about putting satire with a purpose. And this headline is no different. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of that. There we go. Headline: drowning hurricane victim relieved as rescue chopper drops $750 check. I had to laugh. Getting into the article, it says, hurricane victim struggling to keep his head above floodwaters was relieved when he heard the sound of a rescue chopper overhead that brought him much needed relief when it dropped a $750 government check. The desperate man looked up, his eyes stinging from debris kicked up by the helicopter's roaring blades, and was overwhelmed by a feeling of gratitude as he snatched the fluttering $750 check out of the air. Finally, he said, now I won't drown. I'll be able to replace one of my couches, I guess. The helicopter promptly departed, presumably to deliver checks to others in danger of drowning. Hey, wait, I can help pass out checks. But it was too late. The government official was busy. He had more checks to pass out and little time to do it. It's a tough job, a FEMA employee who graciously volunteered to pass out checks via helicopter said later. We've got to be quick before these people drown. They need these checks. The $750 will fix everything. The man from the harrowing story above was later identified as William Thumpbridge, an Asheville native who taught at the elementary school. He survived and he owes it all to that check. Sure, it won't be enough to replace my home, but it was just barely enough to, this is hilarious, it's just barely enough to cover the cost of a meal at Five Guys. I never get to go there because it's so expensive, but today, thanks to the government, I can eat like a king who likes bacon cheeseburgers. At publishing time, William Thumpbridge was dismayed to learn that the nearest Five Guys had been swept away by the flood. Again, I love the Babylon Bee satire with a purpose, but you know, it points out a glaringly true statement in there that FEMA only dropped $750 to people, and that was it. If you guys remember back to whenever the fires over in Hawaii broke out, you know, the relief that they was able to come up with was like $700 per person over there. Now look, here's some things, and I tell you what, you know, I was listening to the Matt Locke Show, Voice of the Working Man podcast. I definitely recommend checking his show out. Great source of information, a lot of good sources. And he interviewed, I believe it was Friday, somebody that actually lived in the Appalachian Mountains. And, you know, they were talking about the response. They were talking about, you know, a lot of the things that was going on. And, you know, this is an aspect where the more I am hearing, the more ticked off about things I'm getting. I mean, absolutely. It really is ridiculous. Okay. Really is ridiculous. So there's a few headlines I want to touch base on. One of them, full list of Republicans who voted against FEMA funding before Hurricane Helena hit, or however you pronounce it. That is a headline from Newsmax. And in which case you can check out all the articles by going over to thehohoshow.com. I think it might still direct you to Ho Ho Studios. Just click on, you know, the upper right where it says the Ho Ho Show, and then news feed, and then you'll see the magazine for today's episode with this title. And you can check out all of my sources, all of the magazines that I threw in there, and of which case I'll also post all that stuff on social media as well. I'll post it on X. I'll post it on Facebook. And, yeah, I'll do all that. Maybe even choose social. I don't know. But there you go. I'll do all that stuff. But some of the information that came out, okay, was about Now, all this is verifiable. All this is verifiable under FEMA. FEMA even proudly was talking about this, articles written about it, the whole 9 yards. And, they tried to say that, oh, this isn't true. But this is an aspect of, it's not about taxation. It's not even about funding. My whole issue with this is about where our money is being spent, being responsible with the money. Because here's the thing, okay? The government treats it as though it's your money. Or I'm sorry, the government treats it as though it's their money. They treat everything as if it's their money. They treat it that, the money that you get from your check was a gift from government. They treat it as though it was owed to them. When in fact, it's my money. I've been working for 38 years. I started work whenever I was 7. In that time frame, I've only known about 15 months where I wasn't employed since I was 7. So you're talking 38 years I've been in the workforce. 38 years. A contract between me and an employer of I trade you time and you give me money. I trade you miles. You give me money. I deliver loads. You give me money. I do my job. You pay me for it. This is a wage. It's not a gift that a company gives somebody. It's a wage. It's something you earn. It's money that isn't a gift. It's owed. Period. End of story. And in all my years of being in the workforce, okay, of all my years of the various jobs that I have done, and I have done many, believe me, one thing that I've never had is a government official working next to me, helping me out or doing my job. Sitting in the passenger seat of the truck when I'm driving down the road. I've never had a government official. I've never had a bureaucrat from some agency right there with me. I've never had a congressman or woman sitting in the seat right next to me or doing the job with me or just doing the job so I can take a break. I've never had that happen. They act like this money that they get, the taxes that they take from us, belongs to them. It doesn't. It belongs to me. My hand slipped off the desk right there. That was great. And, one of the things that the left does is they like to talk about, or at least they kind of used to, Denmark. A utopian socialist society. And they love to talk about its praises, about how it's a socialist nation that is working great. But you see, here's the thing. And these are the things that they don't want to tell you, they don't want to talk about, is because Denmark, they may have some, utopian things as what the left would like to call it. They have, the healthcare. They've got the, oh man, what's that called? A welfare state, per se. But here's what they don't have. And that's an open border. You can't just go over to Denmark and expect the government to take care of you. As a foreigner, you can't do that. You're not going to do that. In fact, you have to be approved to get into the country. You have to demonstrate that you won't even make money, but you're going to be a net gain to the society. And it takes like 7 years for you to even become a citizen. That's ridiculous, right? No, that's truly the way it should be. Because Denmark understands something that our government doesn't. Denmark understands that their first priority is to take care of the citizen before anybody else. Over here, what do we have? Because these politicians, because these bureaucrats have totally forgotten what their job is, they feel as though it's their money. They have forgotten that we're the ones in charge. They've forgotten that it is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. We are governed. They govern us through the consent of the governed, as in, if we don't consent, well, maybe we should do something about it. I heard a story a while back ago. Two guys were driving past the Farm Bureau, and the older guy looks at the younger guy and says, "There are no farmers in that building." And that right there illustrates everything you need to know about government, about bureaucrats, about the people whom make the decisions that govern your life, people that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They go to college, they get a degree. All it is peer reviewed. And now they're making all the rules that we have to abide by, not knowing a damn thing about what it is they're making a decision on. I'm a truck driver. I experienced that type of shit firsthand because as a truck driver, I am regulated by the Department of Transportation. I don't know how many truck drivers are in the Department of Transportation, but I'm governed by them, regardless of the fact. And regardless of how unconstitutional it truly is to be forced to follow rules and regulations, even though not a single one of them came from the legislative branch of our government, which is their job to legislate, but that's beside the fact. That's beside the point. But what FEMA did, what they bragged about, was spending $644 million on illegal aliens just in 2024 alone. And then they have the audacity to complain how they're running out of money, they need more funding. And you have this headline saying that, it was Republicans who voted against FEMA funding. But it's like, it's not about the funding. It's about where you spend your money. Why in the world are you spending $644 million on illegals? That's not the purview of FEMA. That's not what they're there for. This wasn't disaster relief. It was to help out a community that was drowning in illegal aliens. We have veterans on the street. We have homeless in general. We have people that are struggling under and drowning because of, not this hurricane. Yes, we have that too. But, we have people that are truly struggling in this country because of the policies of the Democrats. We have problems. We do. And what do we, the people whom are paying all these taxes, what do we have to show for it? What are we getting from the government? What are we getting? What is our return on investment? Are we getting anything? $700 going to the fire victims over in Hawaii. $750 going to the hurricane survivors. Brian puts over here, but this is a disaster that these crooks are here. Exactly. And they shouldn't be getting our money. And that's my point. $644 million going to illegal aliens to help them out. And all they can do is complain because they don't have enough money to make it through hurricane season, and all American citizens get is a check for $750. And the optics on this is holy crap. It really is. And hello, Brian, over there in YouTube land. Good to see you. Like I said before, this is an aspect where the more I'm hearing, the angrier I'm getting about this. Because, okay, now, say what you want to about Hurricane Katrina, but Bush did it right. Or at least under the Bush administration, it went right. It went as good as it could have, period. Because what you've seen happen is they got their assets out of the way of the hurricane. They got it out of the way. They moved them out of the area so that this way they didn't have to worry about the stuff getting damaged and it can be used at a later date. So after the wind stopped, after the hurricane had passed, then they were able to, they had everything staged. Everything was ready to go. They knew what they were going to do, and all they were doing was waiting for the hurricane to pass so that this way they can execute the plan, and that's exactly what they did. Things happen at a much quicker scale, a much better scale, because they were prepared ahead of time and they did their job. They did their job. You had Obama standing up and was criminalizing Bush for taking 3 days to make it down there to the hurricane victims. And in contrast, you have National Guard that is still sitting there after a week. It's been over a week since the hurricane hit. You still have National Guard military people that are sitting there waiting for their orders. I'm not saying that they're not doing anything, because there has been reports of Black Hawks or Apaches up in the air, but where are you seeing the majority of all the reports saying where the aid is coming from? It's citizens. Citizen helicopters that are going up and rescuing people, delivering aid, food, water, these type of things that these people need to survive. And what is happening? It's not the military that's helping. It's not, the National Guard, which is part of their job. That's what they are supposed to be doing. It's an aid support. That's the biggest thing of what these guys are trained for. It's citizens that's picking up the slack where the government is absolutely failing its people. And this is where our money's going. I mean, hell, it was Elon Musk that stepped up and said, I'm going to give people free access to the Starlink. And one of the other things that I heard, and this again should be enough to infuriate anybody, but this headline from justthenews.com, Musk says that FEMA's blocking delivery of more Starlinks in areas devastated by Helene, I don't even know how you pronounce it. But from this interview from the Matlock, from Matlock, Voice of the Working Man podcast, I want to get back to that a little bit, because there's a few things that he said during that interview, the guy that he interviewed for it. There's a few things that he said that's like, holy crap. And I've been getting this verified from other sources as well. So it's not just one place that I'm getting it from. But he said that, there are people coming in, and I've heard interviews from truck drivers and, various other people. But you have trucks that are showing up that, people just loaded with supplies, and FEMA is turning them back because the products aren't on the approved list, FEMA's approved list. The vendors aren't on FEMA's approved list. Are you kidding me? You have people stranded for a week. Power is available in some places, still no water. People dying. the devastation has been unreal. I've seen some of the pictures. I've heard some of the, some of the people talking, some interviews and everything else, and the devastation is wow. And here you have the government turning away aid. Why? This is another aspect where it's the kickbacks that are blaringly obvious, because the government would much rather you die of thirst and starvation. They would much rather you live in filth. They would much rather that happen than you actually get aid that you need. They would much rather you die. I mean, isn't that what they're telling us with this? They're turning around trucks because it's not part of the approved list, because, nobody in government got a kickback out of this stuff getting delivered. Are you kidding me? Really? That's what it amounts to. Nobody in government got a kickback for this truck just showing up. It's not on the approved list, the vendors of products. You got to go. You can't help. Because it's not military helicopters. You have citizens and private helicopters going up, rescuing people, delivering aid. And what do you have? You have these people getting threatened with jail time if they continue doing this. I read, this article even, that was saying the same thing. I got to find the headline now, because of course I'm looking for it and now I can't find it. No, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, here it is. This headline is from Newsmax. Helicopter pilot threatened with arrest over Helena rescues because it wasn't them that was doing it. They are shutting down drones from going up there because a lot of people are sending out drones, not to just get a view of, the damage and everything else, which is part of it. But the majority of it is people are looking for survivors, looking for SOSs. They're trying to find people so they can help them, get them out or send them aid. And yet the government says, no, you can't do that. You can't fly that drone up there. You can't send that helicopter out and pick up people. You can't do that. They're shutting it down. Because in their eyes, if they can't be the ones to rescue, to send out the aid, then they don't want it done. They want all the glory. They want all the recognition, even though they're the ones that are failing miserably. And in the meantime, you have people dying waiting. Of course. I don't know exactly how many deaths there's been because of this. I haven't really heard any numbers because they're not really letting these numbers out. They're kind of keeping it quiet. In rare cases, you have communications going on because, people happen to be in an area where, it was necessary for power to be turned back on because of where it sat, or at least what was on the power grid right there next to it. And, heck, the video playing right now is some of the devastation. It's holy crap. We would much rather help out illegal aliens. How much money did we send to Ukraine for them? Billions of dollars. How much money do we send in foreign aid to almost every other freaking nation on the face of the planet? A lot. And there's a lot. There's like 190 different countries that we send foreign aid to. And this isn't like it's it's charity. It's not a business transaction. There's no quid pro quo. There's not a, hey, we'll give you money to help you guys out and you do us a favor in return. It's a business exchange. No. This is charity with your money. Again, your money is paying for all this. And then whenever we have citizens in need from a natural disaster, you have, over a week since the disaster, and the people whom are trained to help still have yet to receive the marching orders so they can do so. When people are helping, they're being told by police, you can't do that. When people show up with aid, truckloads of it, they're being turned away because, oh, we didn't get a kickback from this. You can't. We're not going to let you through. We're not going to let you pass. This is ridiculous. Have you had enough yet? Our government's response, granted, there's been, DeSantis has stepped up and he's ordered the National Guard to keep ports open. I'm sorry. Yeah. As the state recovers from hurricane amid that's kind of different, but, even still. And one of the other stories that I read that, again infuriated me. Headline from, I can't even read the name, Veuer, Veuer. Only 1 in every 200 North Carolinians will be insured for Hurricane Helene damages, because Florida's biggest insurer cuts over 600,000 policies after the hurricane. And that second headline is from Newsmax. Let me pull these up for you. First one from whatever
the
it is.
cyclonic tempest of Hurricane Helene.
So the first one from this one, you see the headline. And then the next one from, I got to hit the back button. Sorry about that. Really? Okay, yeah. That thing just screwed up completely. Anyway, you guys get the idea. 600,000 people losing their insurance after flood. Now, here's the thing, man, okay? If you live in an area where there's, if you live in Tornado Alley, you might not get tornado insurance as part of your home insurance, tornado coverage under your home insurance. You might not get that. Why? Because they're so stinking common that, insurance companies has decided that they are no longer going to, pay for that as part of a standard, home insurance. You have to get it if you want it as an additional level of coverage, in which case you're going to pay more money for. Kind of understandable, And in a matter of speaking, that's kind of common practice, right? You live in, California, you might have to get additional earthquake coverage. You live out in, Louisiana, you might have to get additional hurricane coverage if you want covered. I get that. That's fine. And here where I'm at, you have to have, mine subsidence tacked onto your home insurance because the entire town is built on top of a mine. It is what it is. Although where I'm at, that's just included in with the insurance because everybody here has to have it. So it's part of the coverage. I don't know as far as these insurance companies if, they're doing this, they're coming, because, you hear horror stories, right? Of how people don't want to pay out on insurance claims. They nitpick, things that people do in order to be able to drop the coverage so that this way they don't pay out. You hear the horror stories, right? I don't know what company this was. I didn't actually read it. I do invite you to look it up if you're interested. And I'll be doing the same thing, looking it up to find out who it is to see, because I don't want to do business with an insurance company that's going to do that, because the whole point of insurance is to be protected under natural disasters, under acts of God, as they say, to be protected in case the worst happens, which is the whole reason why you have insurance. And if a company is just going to hang people out to dry, that's not a company I want to do business with. And I can flat tell you right now that if it's a company that I do business with, I will not be. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give my money to a company that does that. No, thank you. Because if they're going to hang them out to dry, they'll hang everybody out to dry. So yeah, the more I'm hearing, the more it irritates me. It's just ridiculous. It really is. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Taking a quick break, and when I return, we are going to be talking about Jack Smith's 165-page evidence drop and what that means to the Trump campaign and all that other kind of good stuff. So just a couple minutes, and I will be right back. We ain't done yet.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct.
Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. All right, and we are back. So I got a few headlines we're going to be talking about during this segment. And like I said, we are talking about the document dump from Jack Smith. And it really is clear what is going on here. And I've listened to interviews with legal experts and whatnot, all kind of saying the same thing, lawyers and whatnot. And well, let's just say this whole thing is nothing more than a nothing burger. It is. I was talking with somebody earlier in the week, and I told him straight up that, because of the whole, 34 felonies that President Trump was convicted of. And I was like, well, no, actually he wasn't. He wasn't convicted of 34 felonies. He wasn't. Because all of those 34 counts were misdemeanors. Misdemeanors that was past the statute of limitations. And the only time you can use those in a court proceeding is if you are attaching it as using those to establish a pattern. And that's the only time you can use that is in part of a actual felony. And here's the thing, because the piece of shit judge gave the direction to the jury that, hey, here's a list of all kinds of different felonies that you can, attach these misdemeanors to. And as long as everybody agrees to attach a felony to these charges, they don't even all have to be the same charges, then we'll convict Trump of all these counts. And that's what happened. Not all of them agreed on the felonies that they were going to attach. And they didn't even make public what felonies was actually done. So no, the judge can't even tell you what felony that President Trump was convicted of. Let's get that clear. The whole thing was political. The whole thing was about getting Trump. The whole thing was about Kamala Harris, or at the time Joe Biden, being able to say that I am running against a felon. And these are all charges that are going to be dropped in an appeal anyway. So it's not like it really matters. However, this article from TNR, let me pull that up. Jack Smith hilariously zings Supreme Court at new Trump filing, because there's things in here as part of this filing that pretty much the Supreme Court has already said that he was acting in his official capacity. You can't do this. This headline from the New York Post, which kind of surprises me that the New York Post would put this out there, but Rabid Zealot Jack Smith's evidence dump is not about justice. He's just interested in getting Trump. Duh, it's kind of obvious. It's a 165-page report that you would, he's trying to make everybody believe that since the report is so freaking big that there's smoke in there, and where there's smoke, there's fire. But unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing here. This headline from Media Matters, Fox legal analyst on Jack Smith's new filing, it sure looks like blatant election interference. And that, ladies and gents, is exactly what's going on. Going through this 165-page report, and again, I didn't go through this. I ain't got that kind of time. But what I did do is listen to people that did, lawyers, other people whom are way more smarter than I am. And they went through this and they were like, okay, one, nothing in here is a crime. It's all stuff that's just more or less trying to make President Trump look bad. But they're not crimes. There are things that are in there that is nothing more than hearsay that isn't even supposed to be admitted into a court of law. There are things in there that obviously have First Amendment protections, and things that, well, he was operating under his official presidential capacity, and, well, he has presidential immunity for those type of acts. There's nothing here. And it is blatant election interference. No question. There's no arguing that. I mean, isn't it? I mean, like, just look at what's been going on for the past 8 years against Donald Trump. It's all been about getting Donald Trump. They're trying to make him look bad. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of surprised about this. I really am, because, I mean, they're not going to, in the course of a month and a half, in the course of 5 weeks, however much time they had whenever this actually, got released. It's not like there's going to be any type of a trial. Consider this the October surprise that they are just trying to make Trump look bad. But the problem is, everybody sees what's going on here. Whenever they attack Trump in this type of manner, all they're doing is making Trump look better. People are taking note. People are paying attention. They're understanding that this isn't about justice. It's legal lawfare. And every time they do an attack like this, the only thing that happens is, Trump's poll numbers are going up. I mean, that's what we're seeing. I don't remember when exactly it is that the judge is supposed to be doing the sentencing hearing. I don't remember. I know that they keep pushing it back. And last time, I don't remember if it was supposed to be right after the election. I think it was. With just a whole, hey, we're going to put President Trump in prison. Okay. And I also know that they were talking about trying to pass a law removing Secret Service protection if you are a convicted felon. And in which case I revert back to a later statement. Tell me what felony he was convicted of. Because mind you, 12 jurors did not agree on the felony that he was convicted of. And the 12 counts that they all agreed on that he was convicted of weren't felonies, not a single one of them. I mean, how can you say that a payoff that you put on the records and you miscategorized, you misfiling for said, payoff, how can you say that it was, to sway the results of an election whenever the filing for said payoff happened after the election? I don't quite understand that. But again, that's what they did. None of this has anything to do with justice. Every single bit of it is election interference. That's why they did that so close to the election. It was just to make President Trump look bad. And is it working? Is it really? Are we going to see a change in the polls because of this? Are we going to see a bump in Kamala Harris's polls because of this document dump? The whole huge nothing burger. Yeah, some of the things in here may paint President Trump in a not so great light, but here's my thing, okay? If you're going to claim equal justice under the law, I want to see some accountability on the left. Otherwise, I don't want to hear jack shit about anything that somebody on the right is doing. I don't want to hear it. Until I'm actually going to see equal justice under the law, equal accountability under the law, until I see somebody on the left getting put down, getting rung through the ringer like we're seeing President Trump and other people going through, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your bullshit, because that's all it is. And the American people are waking up to the fact. We really are. Have you had enough yet? Have you had enough? That's the question of this entire show. Have you had enough? We are a month away today. November 5th. Yesterday, by the way, was National Trucker Day, 10-4, good buddy. But today we are 1 month away from the election. Have you had enough yet? Get out and vote. Vote early. I'm going to be looking into that Monday to make sure that I get my vote in so I don't have to worry about shenanigans happen to where I know that my vote is in, it's counted, and I don't care that I'm in a left state. I mean, yes, this is a blue state. All right. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, if you actually look at the election map, the whole entire state is red with the exception of like 2 or 3 counties, all of it revolving around, Campus Town and Chicagoland, which, me as an Illinoisan, we barely even, we only acknowledge Chicago because we have to, because nobody else wants it. That's the only reason why we even acknowledge Chicago. But otherwise, we don't. This is a red state with the exception of basically Chicago and like one other county outside of Chicagoland. Yeah, that's all we got. We don't acknowledge Chicago. And even though I live in a blue state, a blue state, even though it truly is red, I'm still voting. You're damn straight I am. And there's things, and you know what, we'll actually talk about this later, maybe. Well, no. What we are seeing right now in the polls is something that I truly never thought I would see. Last time this actually happened was during Reagan's administration. I mean, Reagan... Oh, when was Reagan president? Okay, 1981 to 1989. Guys, I was born in 78, so I don't remember jack diddly squat about Reagan's presidency. Yes, I've learned things through the history books. Yes, I've had people tell me things, but I was young as shit. I don't remember anything about it. What I have heard is like, the Reagan, it was unreal. The landslide. And we're about ready to see something that we have not seen in I don't even know how long. From what we're hearing from polls and from people in the know is that states like New York is up for grabs. I never thought I would see the day that New York could turn red. States like New Jersey is up for grabs. Something I never thought I would see. People are getting so fed up with the left, how they're running everything into the ground, and they're still trying to blame Republicans for this. Dude, we haven't been in power in a while. Anyway. I'm just happy to see that people are starting to wake up. I just hope it's not too late. I really do. I just hope it's not too late. Guys, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. And when I return, we're going to be talking about this union dock strike. Yes, they are back to work after only 3 days of striking, but we are still going to talk about this because some of the stuff that I read, some of the stuff that I've been hearing, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Some of the numbers are absolutely unreal. And we're also going to be talking about the efficiency of American docks. So just a couple minutes and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We still got more stuff to talk about. Have you ever been so full of it your eyes are brown? Have you ever sat on the toilet but nothing comes out? Is a box of frosted shredded wheat just not doing the trick? Well, have I got the ultimate solution for you. Tide Pod Brand Colon Cleanse. See, Tide Pod Brand Colon Cleanse is that particular product that will break through the sphincter like the Kool-Aid Man through a brick wall. Oh yeah! No more irregularity, no more cramping, just good old nice flow. That's right. Tide Pod Brand Colon Cleanse. Please use responsibly and use at home. This is a fast-acting product now available in Tropical Punch. All right, and we are back. This segment, we're going to be talking about the union dock strike, some things you need to know, some numbers that I've found out, and just overall some shenanigans that has happened. And this is another one of those aspects where the more I found out, the angrier I got. Seems to be a theme for this episode. The more I am finding out, the angrier I am getting. All right. Now, first of all, I got a story. I am not, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am not a fan of unions. I'm really not. You know, my dad was part of a union, and I seen how the union didn't do a damn thing to protect my dad's job. After an accident that was outside of his control, the company that he worked for fired him, and the union didn't do jack shit. I'm not a fan. I myself worked for a union. And I worked for, I'm not going to tell you the company. I don't really think that's ethical. But I was making a part for something that I'm sure everybody has seen and would know, or at least be able to figure out, you know, who it was I worked for, if I gave you the information on what it was that I did. And I got hired in just before a contract was due to be up. So, I mean, it was during contract negotiation between the union and the company I worked for. And the whole entire reason why I was there was to, so that this way they can build up a stock because they were anticipating a strike. That was the whole reason why I was there. So, I mean, like, yes, it was a union job, but I wasn't there to, you know, as a full-time job. I knew that after the negotiations, you know, whenever the contract was done, if they went on strike, I knew that once they got back to work, I wasn't going to have a job. I was going to be laid off because that was one of the reasons why they built up a supply of stuff, was to combat a strike. So I knew that I had a very limited time at this job, like 2 months. Maybe 3. But I knew this going in. The pay wasn't bad. The benefits were okay. But the thing that ticked me off was there was, you know, putting together stuff and making something is what I was doing. Somebody else had grabbed parts that was the wrong part to put together the thing that I was putting together. I didn't double check it because the guy who trained me is the one who grabbed the parts, and I figured, he knew what he's doing. I have no need to double check. So, I mean, on that aspect, yes, I was in the wrong shirt. But the whole thing came back on me. Now, that's neither here nor there as far as what happened. The point is, because of this strike against my performance, my probationary period was extended another month. It was extended. And then I seen on my paycheck how even though my probationary period was extended, meaning I'm not part of the union, I'm still waiting. It's my probationary period. They still started taking union dues out of my check, even though I was not part of the union. So I spoke up. I'm like, hey, I'm confused. Am I part of the union? Well, no, you're not part of the union. Your probationary period got extended another month. I go, oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of curious. I'm seeing my pay stub here, and I'm looking at my deductions and withdrawals, and I see union dues being taken out of my check. So if I'm not part of the union, why are you taking union dues out of my check? That's my money. I want it now. I'm calling JG Wetworth 877 cash now. If you remember that commercial, let me know down in the comments because I'm kind of curious. Now, maybe I'm dating myself. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But if I'm not part of the union, why am I being charged union dues? This doesn't seem right to me. And they said, oh, well, if you end up getting fired before you're part of the union, well, don't worry. We'll just give you that money back. I said, that's not the point. The point is, I'm paying for a service I am not receiving. That's illegal. That's fraud. Why is it that the union is getting away with it? My whole point for telling you that story is the unions in this country, because they are protected by the left, because the unions, regardless of what their members actually want and who they truly support, the unions, at least in the management aspect of it, well, they support the Democrats. So they have protections. Doesn't quite seem right to me. And some of the stuff that I was hearing that these people were wanting, well, it made sense, right? I mean, it seemed like it was, something that was good for the country. It seemed like it was something that was good for them. It seemed like it really, really made sense. And whenever you look at it on the surface, it did. It does. Misspoke again. I hate it whenever that happens. I hate it whenever like more than one word tries to come out of my mouth at the same time. It just doesn't work. This one time, not at band camp, I was getting pulled over by a cop. And, that whole, do you know why I pulled you over? And I don't play that game anymore. Like the first time I got pulled over, cop asked me, do you know why I pulled you over? And I'm like, did you pull me over for this? Oh, wait, nope. That can't be it. How about this? Cause I thought in my head, because I was a dumbass 16-year-old, that, if I get it right, if I can figure out why he pulled me over, then maybe I'll get a prize. And I want that prize, and I don't want that ticket. So I thought maybe, come to find out, that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that at all, no. And I had, the smart ass of Ossifer that, my mouth wanted to say, and my brain's like, no, say officer. And my mouth came out offifer, and I'm like, shit. And I said that. I'm like, yeah, thank you. It was whatever, offifer, shit. And that's what came out of it. It was great, and I'm sure, I'm surprised that I haven't been accused of being on drugs more times than I've been accused of being on drugs. I don't do drugs. I mean, I do caffeine, I do nicotine, but, other than that, I don't do drugs. I mean, I'm crazy enough as it is on air, on caffeine, on nicotine. I'm terrified to do drugs. Honestly, I'm afraid it'll make me normal. That scares me. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. Anyway, let's get back into this. So one of the things that I heard was that, they're going on strike because they are demanding higher wages to offset the Biden-Harris inflation. That headline came from the Daily Signal, in which case I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Biden, the Biden-Harris administration is like, inflation has truly gone up like 40%. That's ridiculous. Holy crap. You're not going to hear that anywhere else. I mean, maybe a few places, but, they want to say from the past 4 years or 3.5 years, whatever, there's been like 20%. But if you look at how they calculated inflation, it's truly upwards of at least 40%. And I hear that they are demanding, the dock workers are demanding, or at least the unions are demanding, it was like a 77% raise over the course of 5 years. I was like, holy shit. I would love to see a 77% raise over the course of 5 years. Because, I mean, all I get at my company, and I'm sure that y'all's are the same, all I'm getting is a measly like 3 to 6%. That's it. They call it a cost of living increase, but it seems like a slap in the face to me because it's not. When inflation is going up, according to them, 20%, in reality, 40% over the last 4 years since Biden-Harris administration, a 3 to 6% increase in my pay seems like a slap in the face because they call it a cost of living increase, but yet it's not keeping up with the cost of living. That, to me, seems like a slap in the face. But even... Oh, that's the fan on the computer. Man, that thing's kind of loud. You know, I have my computer, my fans in my computer at a pretty aggressive curve. And maybe I should turn that down a little bit. Because that was actually kind of... Anyway. 78% is what they're demanding. And the sad thing is, one of the things that they were offered prior to the strike was like a 50%. You know, the company had already agreed to a 50% raise over the course of 5 years, or at least I'm assuming it was over the course of 5 years, because that's what they were demanding was a 78%. And they finally agreed to, and I love this headline, how they actually worded it. National Review said that they agreed to a measly 62% raise and not spoil the election for the Democrats. That's how that was worded. So they agreed to go on strike. But here's the thing, though, too. You know, it wasn't exactly agreeing to go off strike. More or less is what they agreed to do after 3 days of striking was, we're going to go back to work and allow the negotiations to continue until January sometime. And then we'll decide if we actually do want to go on strike or if we're going to agree to this contract negotiation. It was to make the Democrats not look absolutely horrible before the election. And I don't know exactly how many ports that this was going to affect, but there you go. But another thing, as far as what they were demanding, wasn't just a raise, which was a very significant raise that they ended up agreeing to go back to work, 62% raise, but they also agreed to, and this headline is from, here we go, Just the News. Biden infrastructure law gave billions to upgrade ports, but now striking unions want to stop automation because their thing with automation is this is going to take away our jobs, and we want these really good union jobs. So we want to put a halt to automation. We want to keep our jobs. What other headline do we have in here right quick? I can't let you guys see it just yet. Nope, we don't need this Fox News thing. I don't remember what the headline was from that Fox News thing. It was one of the first ones I seen. It was port strike has profound consequences for businesses across the nation. And yes, it really does. You know, because we live in a nation where we have outsourced manufacturing. Generally speaking, we don't make shit in this country anymore. We really don't. You know, we've outsourced our manufacturing. We really have. So everything comes here by boat. And then it gets put on a truck and eventually makes its way to your home or on a shelf. that's how this thing works. I mean, look at the labels around your house. Look at the made in around your house. And, you would probably be surprised how few things are made in the USA and how many things are made from China, from Taiwan, from, wherever else that we get our goods from. We have the means by which to make all this stuff on our own. However, because of high corporate tax rates and, the holy crap amount of regulations that are out there, it's cheaper for these companies just to make it overseas. They make more money. They don't have to pay these unions to do this, that, and the other. And here's the thing. Whenever you are a worker, I don't care the industry. When you're a worker, when all you do is demand higher wage, but you don't actually want to provide any better of a service for that, what happens? What happens when you do that? Well, I'll tell you what happens in the case of cashiers is you get self-checkouts. That's what you get. Every place has self-checkouts now. I mean, it truly is ridiculous. You just demanded a price and you just demanded yourself right into the unemployment line. Because now they minimize the amount of cashiers to force people to do their, be their own cashier. Whenever the elevator operators did the same thing, well, they lost their jobs. Now you don't see elevator operators anymore. Why? Technology. They tried to halt innovation. They demanded a raise, and it was cheaper for companies to just do away with the position in favor of technology no longer needed anymore. Now they no longer have a job. Now, here's another thing that I learned that I thought was just, holy cow, I had no idea. Now, before I tell you what it is that I learned, I had to ask a question to DuckDuckGo. And it was, how many ports are in the United States? And what I found out, according to Duck Assist, is that there are approximately 360 commercial ports that serve various functions, including handling cargo and supporting global trade in the United States. Additionally, there are over 800 ports across the globe. I thought that was kind of crap. I mean, the United States has almost 50% of all the ports across the globe. That's an amazing number. That's a lot of ports that we have, right? Yes, it is. And you would think that with us, we are Americans. We are the best at everything that we do. We are amazing. If we have a goal, by golly, we're going to see it through. We're going to make it happen. And of course, we are the best, right? So whenever I heard that out of all the ports, and, it was in the top 50 ports in the world, how many U.S. ports do you think are in that top 50? Not a top 50 for the amount of cargo, not the top 50 for the size and the scope, but it was a top 50 for efficiency. Because isn't that what we strive for? You do the job to the best of your ability as efficiently as possible, the ins and outs and everything else, so how many U.S. ports do you think are in the top 50? Do you think we have all 50 positions? Do you think we have 45 different ports? I mean, granted, we're almost half of all global ports are in the United States. You would think that we would at least have, 40, 3% of the top 50, 18, 19 of our ports are in the top 50? No, you would be wrong. 10 of our ports in the top 50 of most efficient? No. 10 of our ports in the top 50? Not even that. 5? You would still be wrong. 1? No. Top 50 most efficient ports in the world. Not a single one is in the United States. Why? Because of this type of shit right here. Wanting more pay, not wanting to do any better of a job, running away from automation. That I had heard, there's a port in, I don't remember if it was Denmark or whether it was Norway or, what the country was. I don't even know. But they've been, at least, semi-automated since 1993. That's how long these port workers, these unions have been running away from and stifling automation at their ports. So this stuff has been out there since 1993. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is 2024. That's what? Let's see, 1993, 2003, 2013, 2023. Holy crap, that is 30 freaking years that the unions, that dock workers have been running away from and squashing innovation, because automation has been around since 1993. And other countries, other ports are doing it far better. Some of them fully automated, some of them semi-automated. But the point is, they are way more efficient than we are. What the hell are we doing, America? You would think that we would want and would cherish that number one spot. We're Americans, right? We're the best at everything. Apparently, we're not. We're letting the unions get in the way of innovation. We're letting guys, okay, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they kind of stopped working a long time ago. Before they went on strike, there was already a huge backlog of ships that were in the port waiting to get unloaded. Holy crap. And I read this article. It's like, are they too powerful? These dock workers, are they too powerful? Let me, I'm trying to find that article, actually. From Fox News, port strike has profound consequences for businesses across the nation. And of which case, they do have so much power. I mean, think about it. Like I said, we're not a manufacturing country. Everything we get comes from overseas. Like probably 90% of all the products on the shelves are actually coming from overseas. That's a lot. I'm making up a number just to make a point, just so you know. This isn't an actual number. It's made up. I made it up. I made it up just now for this conversation. For this example, 90% of everything on the shelf comes from somewhere else. It is not made in America. These ports, if they were to I was talking to somebody a while back ago. I'm a truck driver. I've got 13 years experience driving a truck. And, we, in the industry, they talk about shutdowns and strikes. Every year or two, that type of thing goes over the wire. I got, fellow truck drivers in the audience today, and they could vouch for that. Every year or two, they talk about a strike where we are just going to shut down the trucks. And here's the thing. We have no union. not a national union at any rate. It's never happened, and it honestly, it never will. You know, an actual trucker strike. But here's the thing, and I'm going to be honest with you on this. Okay, now I want you to keep in mind, okay, I've worked in retail. I used to work for Walmart. Walmart is one of the, if not the biggest department store brick and mortar company there is out there. Walmart does not keep a lot of stuff in the back room. Walmart stores don't have a very big back room. They operate under a POS type of a system. That doesn't stand for piece of shit. It stands for point of service. That means when they sell a box of product on the shelf, they get a box of product coming shipped to them from the distribution warehouse, the distribution center. That's how that works. Sell a box, replace a box. It's not in the back room. In fact, in a perfect Walmart world, there is nothing in the back room. Everything is on the shelf to be sold. You can't sell what's in the back room. You have, as part of how a business operates, that everything they have to sell is the back room. Places like Aldi, places like Costco, big warehouse stores like that. That's what this country has kind of gotten to. It's a back room free shopping experience to where they don't have stuff in the back to replenish the shelves. Once the shelf is empty, the shelf is empty. It must be replenished from a DC, and it gets replenished via truck. So keep that in mind, okay? And I was telling somebody, I'm like, dude, if trucks truly shut down for whatever reason, natural disaster, a strike, some type of lockdown, you name the reason, you're talking shelves are empty within probably 48 hours. And in all honesty, it probably wouldn't even take 24, because once people realized what was going on, and of course they got to mow the yard right next to me. That's amazing. That's all right. We'll just have to deal with it. But you have, you got to love it, right? Once people caught on to the fact that, you know, shelves are emptying out and one person calls another, you know, it probably wouldn't even take 24 hours. But let's just say, you know, for the sake of argument, for trying to make it not sound quite as bad as it is, instead of 24 hours, let's say 48. 48 hours, shelves are bare. Within 72 hours, because once that happens, everybody's going to be freaking out. So within 72 hours, you're talking anarchy. Within 5 days, you have about 20% of the population dead. Within 3 or 4 days, you're talking gas stations have no more gas. There's nothing on the shelves in department stores, convenience stores. Shelves are bare. What you have is what you have. You're no longer getting pharmaceuticals being delivered. You no longer have fuel being delivered. People are going to start panicking. People are going to be going home. Our elderly, our people whom need assistance, people in hospitals, like I said, they're dead within 5 days. I don't mean to say this to scare you, but I want to give you the reality. That type of thing happens, and it's not good. Why do you think during a natural disaster, we have things like FEMA, Red Cross, citizens helping out citizens. We have the National Guard trying to establish order as quickly as possible because they understand just how fragile society is. And in a situation like that where you can't count on anything but your own ingenuity, things are going to get bad. They know that a breakdown of society is only seconds away. They understand that. And so whenever you have this dock worker strike going on, and one of the heads of the dock workers strike is like, yeah, we're holding the nation hostage. That's basically what came out of his mouth. And here's the thing. This wasn't for just, it wasn't just about getting a raise to combat inflation. This was a little bit more than that, because I heard some of the numbers associated with what these people were making. Okay. The base pay for a dock worker is like $81,000 a year. I was like, holy crap. I'm a truck driver. I've got 13 years experience. Outside of all the experience that I have in other various industries, giving me a very wide array of things that I'm capable of, I'm almost the epitome of, a jack of all trades and a master of none. I'm almost the epitome of that. I've got 13 years experience driving a truck. I've got over 1 million miles. Over 1 million miles. I'm not making $81,000 a year. Now, granted, the company I work for, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I don't make industry standard. It would be nice if I did. And even if I was making industry standard, well, no, I take that back. I would be making over $81,000 a year, but that's 13 years experience. That's almost 8 years experience in my current job. This is $81,000 a year base pay. Holy crap. And they get to go home every night. I don't. I don't. Not at all. And their union officials make $200,000 a year as their base pay. The guy who came out and said that they have the power to cripple the entirety of this country makes like $700,000 a year. Was this about getting the best for their employees as a union? Or was this about padding their own pockets? Was this about picking a point in history where they knew that they couldn't afford this type of thing? And they knew that they would hamstring the company, they would hamstring the government to give them what it was that they wanted, because all it was about was money. Agreeing to a measly $65,000 raise over the course of 5 years. Are you freaking kidding me? I have no use for unions. And whenever you have a union that think about it. The car industry in this country has gone, wow. It's gone. There's not a lot. And here's the thing. The places where car manufacturers are doing the best is in red states, red areas, right to work states where you don't have to be, you're not forced to be part of a union. And in the day and age where we're in, with all the labor laws, let's just say that unions have already gotten everything that they want. There's no need for a union anymore, because what they had been fighting for years and years is already something granted to the employee, to the workforce, to labor as it is. there's no reason, as virtue of law, there's no need for unions anymore. And when they have the power to literally cripple, a single union can cripple the entire country. Yeah, unions have gotten too powerful. You know, and if unions were so star-spangled amazing, if they were so great, then a union would welcome a right-to-work state. It's like, fine. You don't want to join the union, then that's okay. You don't have to. But you're going to see a side-by-side comparison between what you can get on your own and what the unions can negotiate for you. But the fact of the matter is, in every single state where people are not forced to be on a union because they are right to work states, every single place, the unions ain't doing so high. Because the unions, at the end of the day, have nothing to offer the people. They don't. They really don't. I mean, look, if you're happy to be in the union, if you're proud to be in your union, okay, fine, whatever. You know? But union hasn't done shit for me. They've not done shit for my family. And when this kind of stuff can let stand, I mean, here's the thing, man. If you don't like the pay you get, then figure out something else. Do something else. There's better paying jobs than the one I'm at. There's better paying jobs than, you know, working at this port in this area. There's better paying jobs. You can negotiate better wages, and if they don't want to pay you that wage, then you can go to another company in the same industry. You know, it was funny because I was, trying to negotiate higher wages. Eventually, we ended up getting them. But one of the things that the company I worked for was saying that, you live in Taylorville. And it's like, it doesn't matter whether I live in Taylorville. I work out there. I don't work in Taylorville. Why should my pay be based off of where I live? It shouldn't be. My first trucking job was 2 states over. My next trucking job was in 2 states over. I still lived in the same place that I lived. My hometown never changed, but yet I was working from companies over here and over there. I lived 2 hours away from 5 major interstates. I could work for any trucking company that operates this side of the Mississippi. I don't work in my hometown. I work on I-55, I-57, I-24, I-95, I-10, I-40, I-90, I-94. These are the locations I work. I don't work in my hometown. Just like every other truck driver that I pass on the road, I work out there with them. I work in an industry where there is an industry standard of pay. Why? Because I'm not limited to my hometown. I'm limited by how close to an interstate I am. That's what I'm limited to. I'm limited to available parking, which we have. That's what limits me. It's not about my hometown. It's about where a business operates. And the same thing goes for stuff like this. The same thing goes for people who, do this, that, and the other one. Like, people who work on ports, on boats, on shipping boats, on fishing boats, whatever. I mean, yeah. But a union should not have this much power. They really shouldn't. And it's scary whenever a union can hold the entirety of a nation hostage to pad their bottom dollar. And it's ridiculous how much some of these people, these union officials, are making because, what they have You know, the numerous houses, the mansions, the boats, the yachts, the cars, what have you. It's like, holy crap. And the actual union person who's working in the union on the docks ain't making near that. It's what the crap. And it's no wonder whenever you hear these type of numbers, why manufacturing is moving overseas. You're supporting through virtue slave labor, cheap labor costs, like the very thing that we're claiming that we want to stop here in the United States, which is the whole reason why unions even exist in the first place. You're forcing these companies to have to send manufacturing overseas so that this way they can put it on the shelves at a price that you're willing to pay. People want to see the Made in the USA sticker on there, but yet they don't want to pay the Made in the USA price tag that goes along with it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about capitalism. I'm all about free trade. I really am. But don't you think it would make good policy? It would be better for America. It would be better for the American workers if we would cut regulations, if we would cut corporate taxes, if we would do away with unions, and all of this stuff would drive the cost of manufacturing, the cost of products down so much. You would see a hiring boom like you had never seen. You would see the economy skyrocket. You would see labor participation rates going through the roof. You would see unemployment dropping to levels we have never seen in this country. And all it would take would be to kick the government out of the way. That's all it would take. Kick the government to the curb and say, you have no business being here. We got this. And it already happened under Trump once. He cut regulations. He cut corporate taxes. And the economy flourished because of it. Seen the biggest booms that we have seen, even better than what happened under Reagan. Even better. It can happen again. Because that's the very thing that Trump wants to do and has said he would do if he gets reelected. We need to make that happen. Because we can't handle 4 more years of Democrat rule in this country. Oh, I got a sneeze coming. Oh, I think my brains went that way. That was a good one. It snuck up on me, but I'm glad it gave me enough notice I can mute the microphone. Whew, boy. So yeah, that's all I got on that. All right, so last story. We're gonna go ahead and do this one. I ain't taking another break. You know, we ain't. How am I doing on coffee? I still got some coffee. Good stuff. So this last story I want to talk about, and I put this the way that I did because this was absolutely hilarious to me. Okay. I seen this headline. Let me scroll down to it because if I don't, there it is. I found it. I found the headline. From Fox News, Trump national security advisors mock Biden's warning to Israel to stick to proportional Iran response. Now, I'm sure y'all have heard by now that, with the what was going on in Lebanon, with the Israeli response to that stuff, the strikes on Beirut that Israel did. I'm sure y'all have heard about the Iranian response and the biggest missile barrage that we have seen in history being tossed, lobbed, and fired at Israel. Biden had the audacity and really you see this kind of stuff in the UN as well, but they have the audacity to tell Israel how they should respond to the threats they are facing. I find it laughable. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I really think that Israel needs to go back to how they treated the Canaanites. I think they need to go back to, the Sodom and Gomorrah approach. I think they need to call for peace the same way that we did with Japan making glass in the desert. That's what I think Israel needs to do. Sodom and Gomorrah. And yes, I understand what I'm saying. I understand the implications. And that's what Israel needs to do. Because what Israel has been doing so far has not been working. The two-state solution is not a solution. The two-state solution will do nothing more than remove Israel from the map. That's all it's going to do. But I laughed at this whole proportional response because, all right, guys, I'm a fan of somebody whom goes by the name of the Fat Electrician. Awesome content creator. He really is. He's got a lot of videos out there. You will get so much education and information from his videos that it's mind-boggling. And he does it in such a way that it is funny. It is entertaining. You're going to learn something and you're not even going to realize it. I just got done watching a video, which is one of the reasons why I was late with starting my stream and going live, because I was watching a video about somebody and time ran away from me because I didn't realize that this video was over an hour long. I was like, holy crap. Now, most of them ain't an hour. But one of the videos he has is titled Proportional. And coincidentally enough, it was about our response to a U.S. merchant vessel that got attacked by, floating mines in wherever it was that they were at from Iran, which was hilarious, especially considering this is about Iran as well. So I had to laugh about that whole proportional thing. But back to the topic at hand, and I highly recommend checking him out. It's the Fat Electrician. I don't remember what his name is. Fat Electrician. You can check him out over there on YouTube. Support the guy's show. He does a really good job. You're going to learn something. I highly recommend checking out definitely two different videos. Check out Proportional, and then check out, what's the other one? Proportional, and then Potential. That's the other one. Potential. And Potential is the backstory for Proportional. And it talks about the founding of our Navy. And yeah, both videos, very, very good. Check them out. Again, that's the Fat Electrician over there on YouTube. Back to the show. Israel is fighting for their life. They are surrounded by people that want to kill them, fighting people who want to wipe Israel off the map. They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their existence to live. They're fighting for their right to be. There really is no other way to put it. The barrage of rockets that they have to deal with on the daily, it never really stops. It doesn't. You know, they have the Iron Dome, and oh boy, howdy, without it, there would be no Israel. I want you to understand what I just said. Without the Iron Dome, there would be no Israel. Because they have to deal with this on the daily. And you have the UN. You have us that are trying to dictate to Israel how they are going to defend themselves, as if we wouldn't defend ourselves in the same manner. I mean, you know, maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't. We would under a Trump presidency. We may or may not under a Biden-Harris administration. We probably wouldn't under a Harry Walls presidency administration. It is not going to happen. We have the audacity to tell Israel how they will and will not respond to a threat, to somebody trying to wipe them off the map. I find that appalling. I find it arrogant. I find it unacceptable. Just being honest with you. It's ridiculous to me. What gives us the right, really? I mean, what gives us the right to tell them how they should respond to a threat? I mean, like I said, Sodom and Gomorrah. Make it to where thousands of years after the fact, you still can't find them on a map. You still can't point out on a map where they used to be. I mean, y'all's heard what happened almost a year ago. October 2nd, 2023. I'm sorry, October 2nd. October 7th, 2023. We all know what happened. We all heard the stories. We've seen some videos. We know what those savages did. The people that are still being held hostage by terrorists, not just Israeli, but U.S. citizens as well. Where's the outrage? I mean, we have U.S. citizens being held hostage by these savages as well. Where's our outrage? Why are we not negotiating the release of these hostages? Why are we not telling them? Why are we not doing what Trump did, showing them a picture of their house and saying, if we don't get our people back right now, I'm bombing your house. I'll put an end to your entire regime. I will send my military in there, and we will, from house to house, go through that entire area with a fine-tooth comb. We will find our people, and we will lay to waste everything in our path. We have the ability. Do we have the guts to do it? I don't know, but why aren't we doing it? Over 100 people are still being held hostage over there. Why? Why is the Biden-Harris administration not doing anything about it? It's been almost a year. What the hell? I don't know. That's all I got for y'all today. That is it for today's show. I do greatly appreciate y'all stopping by. I really do. And let's see. Again, you can find all the articles that I used in today's show. Go over to thehohoshow.com. And like I said, I think that will still take you over to hohostudios.com. But again, actually, that link is down in the description below. It's it's down in the description below. Let me pull up my show prep thing. It is the second link in the description, hohostudios.com. www.odoo.com/the-ho-ho-show. Just follow that link. That'll take you over there. And that is the news feed. You'll see the articles over there. And, man, dude. Let me actually look this up because I had this question a while back ago. Oh, well, actually, I can just click on this. Profile, magazines. Holy crap. All right, so I've been doing this for like 7 years, doing the podcast for 7 years now. You know, it's been going for a while. It was September 2nd, I believe, of 2017 when I started doing the podcast. I have currently, not counting this episode, 319 episodes just in the Ho-Ho Show, which is the longest lasting single podcast that I have. 319 episodes. I've been doing the whole Flipboard thing for quite some time. I currently have 213 magazines over there on Flipboard. I'm going to have to transfer a lot of those over so that this way, you know, you can see. I mean, you can still click on the magazine on Flipboard and you can get access to all the other ones, but a lot of information. There really is. I put a lot of work into doing this. I really do. I have fun doing it. I love it. I enjoy it. It's great. It's a good time. So I really do appreciate y'all's coming out. I really do. So that's all I got for y'all today. Have yourself a great one, and I will see you in the next one. This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpikle.com. Until next time.